Periva Sharanam, Experiences with His Holiness, narrated by R. Chidambareshan, Chennai 40, compiled by T.S. Kodandarama Sharma. The greatness of having his darshan. Continued. Ramanama Mahima. When Sri Periyavargal was in Thenambakam, my wife and I had gone there. At that time, I was engaged in the Kainkaryam service of collecting Ramanama list written by devotees and sent through an organization called ICF Kamakoti Seva Samiti and sending them to a devotee who was to build a mandapam pavilion in Jamshedpur that was to be named Ramakoti. Sri Periyavargal asked me, "How many names did you send?" I told him. Forthwith, Sri Periyavargal went inside a room and came out carrying a large carton containing the notebooks of handwritten Ramanamas which weighed around 10 to 12 kilograms. Calling us, he said, "Have this for you." When Sri Kanthan tried to get that burden from him and pass it to us, Periyavargal himself gave it to us directly. We both received it together. I considered this as Sri Periyavargal giving Upadesham of Ramanama to us. Keeping that carton in our puja room, I am still preserving it. After some months of this happening, when I broached this event to Sri Pudu Periyavargal, he too forthwith giving a portrait of Sita Lakshmana Hanumat Sameta Sri Ramachandra Murthy, a portrait which was drawn with Ramanamas, he gave us his anugraham with the words, "Keep this too, as desired by me." In January 1976, when my eldest daughter Akhilandeshwari's marriage was fixed, I sought anugraham of Sri Periyaval at Kalavai. He said, "You have your Kumari's marriage conducted in Kamakshi temple itself. In Kamakshi Sannidhi, Mangalya Dharanam, Japam and such Purvangas. Some Tarpana, meals to Brahmins in the nearby Kolla Chatram. And for the Sambandhis, kingsmen to stay, the Rajavedi Chatram and Sri Matham. Thus there are 4 places. Bheshaga Nadattu. Conduct it very well." In his own words, get permission from Pudu Periyaval, telling him that I desired it. Although Sri Mahaswamigal was Pudu Periyaval's guru, since in those periods of time Sri Pudu Periyaval himself was the Peethadipati, in consideration of Yuktam propriety, in his asking me to get permission from Sri Pudu Periyavargal and in his saying he desired it, I could see his simplicity and magnanimity. Knowing that when some of my relatives who attended the marriage went to Kalavai and had darshan of Periyaval, he inquired them about the marriage in Vistaram detail. I always wonder at the compassion and love he had for me. In Shahabad, approaching Sri Pudu Periyavargal, who was camping in Tiruvallikeni, Triplicane, in 1983, when I sought his permission to conduct the marriage of my second daughter too in Kamakshi temple, he asked me, "What date?" I told him that among the 2 dates, May 9th and May 29th, I had the intent to conduct it on May 9th. For that, Sri Pudu Periyavargal said, "If it is May 9th, you can have it conducted there," and permitted me. Only many days later, I came to know that May 29th was the day fixed for Sri Bala Periyavargal to have his ashrama swikaram, adoption to sannyasa ashram. To get anugraham from Sri Periyavargal, I went to Sahabad. In the Chennai-Bombay rail route, it comes just after crossing the Wadi station. After I got down at the railway station, I came to know that Sri Periyavargal was staying in a place around 7 kilometers from there. Boarding a bus, I went to the place where Sri Periyavargal was staying. I spotted, after walking a small distance, a small shed in an open ground plus a hut and a well. Around 5 or 6 people were standing there. They told me that it was that place where Sri Periyavargal was staying. Intense sunshine of 2 o'clock afternoon sun. When I went there, Sri Periyavargal was in Shayanam, sleeping, his rickshaw cart nearby, a staff member named Subbaiah near it. Sri Periyavargal was lying down on his stomach. It was known that he had come there only few minutes earlier. It was also known to me that he was sleeping in that posture to get relief from the tiredness of his body. Standing nearby, I was looking at the lines of Periyaval's souls. After some time passed, Sri Periyavargal woke up and looked at his palms. He informed them through this way his intent to read. An assistant named Samaveda Chandramouli gave him a small book. It was Hanuman Chalisa. Turning over its pages, he was reading it until daylight declined. In the meantime, a crowd assembled from the areas of grain fields nearby. Some people came in, tractors too. With help from nearby people, Balu had the ridges of the field adjacent to the well deepened, drew water from the well and filled it, thus facilitated for Sri Periyavargal to have his snanam, bath. As Sri Periyavargal had his snanam and finished his anushtanam, it began to get increasingly dark. Sri Periyavargal asked the village people to get back to their homes, saying that no one needed to stay there. Sitting in the cart in the shed during night, he took an apple and some milk. I made respectful communication to him of the proposed marriage of my putri and sought his anugraham. Sri Periyavargal spent that night in the cart itself. Since the climate was very chill, we all slept in the hut. It would have been 4 o'clock in the early morning when I woke up. I saw Sri Periyavargal rise and go to the toilet. Forthwith, cleaning my teeth and wearing vibhuti, I went where Sri Periyavargal had gone, carrying a lantern. I introduced myself to him. After Sri Periyavargal came out from the toilet, in the light of the lantern kept in the shed, an assistant named Chandramouli read out that day's Panchangam. As he wrongly mentioned the day, Sri Periyavargal told him, "Read again." When he read it again wrongly, the sage asked him to read it once more. Thus, after many times of repetition, the man came to understand his error. As the man corrected himself and started reading it correctly, Sri Periyavargal told him, "I saw you read it with an error. Only now you read it correctly." I understood the subtlety of the sage in giving him the opportunity to correct his error himself. As it had dawned in the meantime, I stood seeking Sri Periyavargal's permission for me to return to my place. He asked me, "Only you built the Ganga Mata temple in Haridwar?" I replied, "Only Omkaranath Goswami built the temple. I only took a photograph of it and brought it." Omkaranath Goswami belonged to a family that arrived from Rawalpindi at the time of nation's partition and took residence in India. He had told me about Pandit Madan Moha Malaviya when the latter had gone to Rawalpindi, dining in their house, and at that time, as a boy, this man doing the service of waving a hand fan to the Pandit when the latter was eating. During the year 1975, when Sri Periyava sent me on a tour, his acquaintance came up for me in Haridwar. Sri Periyava ordered me, "You toured many places, Periyava, sending you on the tour. Tell these people about it in detail." Limitless joy for me, and my body had the thrill of it, as if caressed with a blade of grass. I told them briefly of my yatra. Then Sri Periyava ordered the director of a nearby cement company, who was a white man, to drop me in the railway station in his car. To be continued. Periyava Sharanam.